The epic Pollock Pines. Hi everyone, this is Hayden Lepore, and today I will be discussing two communities at the 3,000 to 4,000 foot elevation level in the Sierra Nevada mountains, Camino and Pollock Pines. Camino was where I grew up and had many childhood memories, so this is a special tribute to my life having lived there from 2003 to 2015. Camino and Pollock Pines started as stops on the road to the California gold rush spots from the east, and were crucial stops on the Pony Express route during 1860 through 61, which the Pony Express Trail commemorates, delivering mail from coast to coast. There were a series of houses from the 10-mile to the 14-mile house along the Sierra Nevada road that serviced customers and were the original Camino and Pollock Pines. The 11-mile house was called Sportsman's Hall, which the restaurant that currently operates with that name honors. It was a resort and a restaurant that operated from 1853. It was burnt and rebuilt twice. Once in 1868 and again in the 1890s, and then closed in the 1930s after the hall was declining in demand for the area. The Sportsman's Hall restaurant continues to operate in the hall's former barn, which was converted to a donut shop before it became the current restaurant. I am at Sportsman's Hall, which has been in operation since 1857 in 3 different buildings, and was the former Pony Express station. Interestingly, Pollock Pines' economy blossomed because of water, and the water projects built to service western Dorado County with Sierra Nevada water, such as the South Fork Canal, which went through Pollock Pines and still goes through Pollock Pines as the EID flume. Not only is water supply, but since water is the source of hydroelectric power, hydroelectric plants such as the El Dorado Powerhouse were built on the South Fork American River, which brought many jobs to the people in the area, enticing them to move to Pollock Pines and its surrounding communities for their work. This only increased as time went on to the 1950s, when the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, SMUD, decided to construct dams on some of the mountain streams. Union Valley Dam on Silver Creek, Ice House on the South Fork of Silver Creek, Loon on Gurley Creek, and Slab and Creek and White Rock on the South Fork American River to meet the demand for electricity in the growing Sacramento region. These dams hold the Union Valley, Ice House, Loon, Slab Creek, and White Rock reservoirs, which the first 3 mentioned are major recreational areas for summer activity. Sly Park Dam on Sly Park Creek, which holds Jenkinson Lake, is another dam in the area, built in 1955, which was proposed as far back as 1925, and was halted as a result of the Depression, and was revived and built as a result of Bill H.R. 165, authorizing the Army Engineers to build Folsom Dam and the United States Bureau of Reclamation to build the Sly Park Powerhouse and Dam. Jenkinson Lake, or Sly Park Lake as the locals call it, is a major recreation area also, and is the major lake for residents of Placerville to visit. Since Pollock Pines is in the forest, logging and lumber mills ran supreme in the area. The Blair family, who came to California from Scotland during the gold rush, played a major role in this endeavor, who saw the demand for lumber to shore up the mines by using the Douglas fir in the area. They first contributed to the area being innkeepers, then as lumbermen, which we will talk about now, and were also ranchers. Interestingly, in the early days of logging, it was easier to move the lumber mills after an area was completely cut, and to the areas that were ripe for cutting, then to haul the logs from a long distance to the mill. The Blairs followed this trend closely, first building Blair's Mill at 5 Mile House in 1856, which was run by John and James Blair, and was a steam-powered mill. The second mill was the Elkhorn Mill at Iowa Canyon in 1860. The areas were usually logged out in 10 years, which led to the Blairs moving their lumber mills every 10 years. They operated at South Long Canyon from 1870 to 1880, North Long Canyon from 1880 to 1890, Sly Park Mill from 1890 to 1908, 1908 to 1910 at Plum Creek Mill, 1911 to 1912 at Fresh Pond Mill, 1913 to 1925 at Long Canyon, out Old Blair Mill Road, and from 1927 to 1948 across the canyon from Pacific House. They operated their timber holdings and their lumber mills until 1958, when they sold their holdings to the Michigan-California Lumber Company, when the Blair brothers refocused on their retail lumber business in Placerville, which they sold in 1985. Their legacy continues through the Blair brothers' descendants, who run the Harris family farm in Pollock Pines, and who ran the Kimbellick's clothing store in Placerville, until its closure in 2019. The name Pollock Pines was named after Hiram Robert Pollock, who is a landowner in the local area, and who is originally a lumberman from Michigan. As a result of his knowledge in the industry, he, along with a partner he met, Mr. Shear, opened a lumber mill near Pacific House, and then more importantly, opened a lumber mill at Weber Creek east of Sportsman's Hall. Interestingly, this venture dealt with bad luck being built in the Great Depression, which resulted in Hiram and his son working harder to keep up with payroll demands and keep the mill running. Even worse was during the time their insurance was dropped in as a result of rising costs and declining revenue, a fire came and destroyed the mill. Interestingly, afterward, Pollock kept moving forward since he still had the land, and since the road along the ridge was booming with travelers, with Sportsman's Hall hosting travelers for Lake Tahoe tourism, Pollock saw the opportunity to build a community. Pollock Pines was suggested by a friend, Mr. Shep Delaney, when the post office was looking for a name, since the town wasn't and still isn't incorporated. Neighboring Camino was also a major logging area and had a Sierra Pacific lumber mill from 1901 to 2009, which was originally built by the Dorado Lumber Company, which had their logging operations near Pino Grande, where they had a rough-cut mill, and later in 1904, connected both mills by a narrow-gauge railroad over a cable bridge across the canyon. The mill was bought by the Michigan-California Lumber Company in 1918, and in 1928 remodeled this mill. The mill became the main mill operation in 1949 when the Pino Grande mill's operations were moved here. But the mill saw a gradual decline, first with the Camino and Placerville and Lake Tahoe Railroad, which connected this mill to Sacramento, closing in 1986. And even though the mill received many improvements when the Sierra Pacific Industries bought the mill in 1994, the mill ended up closing in 2009 as a result of the economic downturn in the home building sector. Despite the downturn in the lumber industry, Camino has still thrived because of being the hub and location of the Apple Hill Farms, which are a major tourist destination for travelers during the fall season especially, with apple and pear farms and even wineries anchoring these lands. Camino also has Apple Mountain Golf Resort next to Blakely Reservoir on the EID flume, which is popular for golfers for its course being in the forest and in the mountains, providing a fun atmosphere to play in. Pollock Pines is as much a tourist destination today as it was in the beginning, being the gateway to the Dorado National Forest established by President William Howard Taft in 1912, and a gateway to the mountain lakes and even Lake Tahoe. And it also has the Naughty Pines Bowling Alley, one of the only bowling alleys in Dorado County, and was the only one for many years on the western slope of the county until recently. In order to compete with newer competitors, Naughty Pines has added laser tag, batting cages, indoor mini golf, a bounce house, and has expanded their arcade and has a billiard table. Beware, if you decide to move to Pollock Pines, make sure you be wise in choosing your house's driveway, because Pollock Pines receives on average 63.4 inches of snowfall in a year, give or take a year. Which means there is a decent chance you will need snow tires if you choose to live there. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel to learn more about the history of towns. Thank you for watching.